the methodology of ethical hacking one more time, and then we will look at which stage we are in right now. So if you want to really look at how ethical hacking is done step by step, okay, according to, again, for a certified ethical hacking certification, it starts with usually food printing. We have talked enough about food printing, guys, and we mentioned food printing is really important topic. Why? Because it allows us to gather information about our target even before we start to communicate with this target. So we are trying to gather information as much as we can from online sources, from Google, from who is. So really, it's important to start any attacks with food printing, and that's what exactly the attacker will do. So food printing, guys, and reconnaissance are the same operations, okay, and they are divided, as I mentioned, to two stages. The first stage is basically is called there is two stages out of it. There's one you are actively doing connection with the target, and there is one is called active reconnaissance and passive reconnaissance. And the most important thing that we learned over the last few days is how to do both of them. Okay, once we done once we done this, guys, we are trying to do enumeration. Okay, and enumeration can be a methodology itself. We can try to enumerate the system. Enumeration means gathering information or scanning the system. Okay, and the scanning, we are looking for live hosts. Okay, we're looking for I would say open ports on a certain target. We're looking at what service are running, okay, in these targets. Okay, and we are looking also at any shares or any usernames and password are shared on these targets. Okay, and enumeration is important, and I'll explain how it's different between the enumeration and vulnerability scanning. And once you start to gather users that's logged to these targets, like if you have an operating system, okay, and the operating system is consists of OS, okay, and application. Okay, if you done an enumeration in a proper way, what you will end up with, will end up with usernames. Which usernames that you will end up with? So if you have a user who's using these systems, guys, okay, when you are trying really to enumerate these systems, okay, you can get a username, okay, and that is all what we need. We need from the enumeration. Okay, you wanted a username and file shares. Why? Because later on you will have a stage here called password cracking. So if you have a username, you have a half piece of information to log into this system. So if I get what is the username for this person who's accessing the system, later on I can do a technique called password cracking to get his password. If I get the username and password, now I can log into the system as if one of these guys, okay? Once if I logged in for the system, the attacker will always try to do privilege escalation. And the privilege escalation is about what? Is about to really, if this is a normal user who is logged to the system as a normal user, I'll try to elevate his permission to be a root user or to be admin user. Once he's an admin user or a root user, what will happen, guys? He will be able to really do more exploitation, to do something called post exploitation, which is figuring out more system to attack, and then he will maintain his access by creating backdoors for himself and make sure he is present in the system all the time. And lastly, he can really reach to his objective once he maintained his access. And the objective, we have mentioned it before, that can be hacktivism objective, or maybe financial objective, or maybe nation states attackers. They have objective of destroying other nations and stealing or doing espionage in another country or whatever. Okay, so this is our basically the stages of ethical hacking. And again, if you wanted to really see it in a nice organized way, let me show you another.
Mr. Shadi.
Yeah.
Can you explain the difference between footprinting and can you back
Okay,
to the
so
slide?
yeah, footprinting and reconnaissance is the same thing.
Yeah.
They are the
So
same
if
thing.
they are the same thing, why they are
No, no.
taking two
This is
steps?
you're just mentioning it in a wrong format here. But they are
Oh,
usually
I mean,
building.
I
Yeah.
was thinking they are formatted.
No, no, no. They are they are basically the same thing. We call them
Okay.
footprint reconnaissance, collecting information about the target. They are the same thing, but again, it's different naming according to which book you are reading or which certification you are going for. But they are meaning
Okay.
okay. And if you go to
Okay.
the ethical hacking strategy that we looked at, this is this ethical hacking from methodology. Okay, if you look at this, you find it very clear here that you have footprinting, okay, and again, scanning, that's what we covered yesterday, and then enumeration. And here I have already added the enumeration, what it does mean, because maybe you are in an interview, they will ask you what is enumeration and what is comes after scanning. You scan the system, you find the live hosts, you find the ports, maybe you find some vulnerabilities, okay, and then enumeration comes right after, and then right if after enumeration, you start to crack passwords. So let's look at the definition here for enumeration. It's saying that's a process of systematically probing a target for information. So this is kind of, I'm still probing the target for more information. So all these stages, guys, we can call it pre-attack. Okay, because the first one, I'm trying to gather information. The second one, I'm scanning the system, gathering information. And enumeration, again, it is still we are trying to get more information. Why? Because information, guys, is very valuable for the attackers. Why? Because this is where I'm trying to really get more information and more specific information about this system. I wanted to know who shared files in this system, what kind of groups exist in this system, what kind of users exist in this system, okay? What kind of protocols they are using to share information between this system and other systems, okay, guys? So it's so for the target information, and it remain an essential tool in the hacker arsenal. Emulation can provide attacker with good map to entering a system by identifying open ports, username, and password. So it's really open ports done in the scanning. So it's not really open ports. It's the username and password that the attacker is trying to really get to it. Because what? Once he has a username, guys, once he gather a username, he will start to crack this username password. And once he crack the password and username, he is already gaining access to the system. And that's why they saying do enumeration and right after do password cracking. And now once you are logged in as a normal server, do as much as you can as a escalation privilege. Once you escalate privilege, you can execute application. Okay, and this application could allow you to crack more password, or maybe to attack more machines, or maybe to do more damage to the network, maybe by installing, for example, a ransom or crypto ransom inside the network. And then the last thing is, guys, is to hide files or to steal files out of the system and firing logs or clearing tracks. So I wanted you always to visualize this when you are trying to talk about ethical hacking, because this is the normal techniques. Okay, and again, okay, that does the really we have to do this all the time? No. Sometimes, guys, I will explain to you very interesting also point here, which is not always true here. It's not they don't cover it in ethical hacking, but I will tell you after scanning. If you guys remember, scanning does include a lot of stages. We find the live host, we find ports, we find service, and last part of scanning, we find vulnerabilities, okay? And when you find vulnerabilities, guys, if I find a real nice vulnerability in your operating system, or I find really nice vulnerability in your web application, if I find a really nice vulnerability in your network, okay, and I can exploit this, or maybe I exploit a human, okay, by social engineering, and I got this human to do something for me, okay, sometimes I really doesn't need the enumeration and the cracking password. I can exploit the system here in this space, okay? I can exploit the system here in this space, and then I will do enumeration to gain more information about your internal network and cracking more passwords. So again, what I'm trying to say here, guys, is gaining access can happen in this stage right after I do vulnerability scanning. Why? Because vulnerability scanning will allow me to see, okay, what you have inside your organization, okay, and I see what is vulnerable inside your organization, whether it's a network or operating system or even application. I can exploit this application. Once I exploit this application, it will give me a login to your computers. Once I logged in here in this computer and I'm logged in as you, okay, right now, I can do enumeration. Why I'm doing enumeration? Because this computer system is connected to other computer system over different protocol, okay? So I can do enumeration to find out what is the users that exist in this organization. And once I find out the users, okay, I can really crack their password using some tools. Okay, guys? So again, this methodology is the right normal way to think about how to compromise system, okay? But there is something that they don't tell you is after scanning, if you find a really big nice vulnerability that you can exploit in the operating system, you can use your meta exploit to exploit this vulnerability right after you do scanning, okay? And once you exploit, you will do enumeration and cracking password as part of post exploitation. Okay, I hope this point is clear. Shall I really I really explain this point again, guys, or this point is clear? Okay.
No,
So
it's
again,
clear.
it's clear. Okay, good. So again, this is the normal methodology. Okay, and I wanted you to remember each stage and which is in each stage. And again, finally, guys, I wanted also to remind you that after scanning, we can sometimes exploit the system and use enumeration as post exploitation to really see what is happening inside the system. So this is the first thing that I want to explain. Okay, so what is enumeration and what we try to enumerate? Okay, again, what we try to gain more information about. I wanted really to here in the enumeration phase, attackers create active connection with the system. So this is part of active reconnaissance or active footprinting, because this is not passive halas anymore. We are connecting to the target and trying to extract more information from the target. So this is the active here means it's active footprinting or active reconnaissance, and perform direct queries to gain more information about the target. Okay, and what kind of queries? We will show you guys what kind of queries and what kind of tools we use for queries. Okay, attacker use extracted information to identify point of system attacks and perform post password attacks to gain unauthorized access to information system resources. So what he's trying to do, guys, is trying to really see more system to attacks, okay, in some cases, and really to gain information about the user who is using the system and password that is going to be. And that's why when we explain the enumeration, today we will try to cover as much as we can for enumeration. But later on, guys, once we finish this enumeration, we'll be talking about password cracking. If we don't do it today, we do it tomorrow, because most of them are really connected to each other. Okay, so you do enumeration, and right after, if you have the username, you will try to perform a password attack to get the missing piece of this puzzle by having a username and password. Okay, again, this is the board that is a point that I will explain it to you guys. Enumeration techniques are conducted in an intranet environment. What we mean by intranet environment means you can do enumeration, guys, from external network to your network. Okay, so this can be done. Okay, and if you have an insider threat or a malicious user, okay, he can do enumeration against the system and against another system within the organization. Okay, so here, guys, we have intranet environment means someone inside your organization and he started to look at more information about the system you have. So maybe the attacker will exploit one system and use enumeration to gain more information about the systems and the user within your organization, or maybe you have someone insider who is attacking your system and gathering information about different systems. Okay, again, why he will do this if he's insider? Because he knows that he's terminated. He is someone who is spying on this specific organization. Maybe he's someone feel like he never got promoted and he never got his right to the right amount of money for his work. So he's disgruntled employees who wanted to really attack you. So from his computer, because his computer within your network, he can really gather very important data about, the users in certain another servers, and or maybe certain passwords also in another server. Okay, what we're trying to we or maybe a shared file, which is very important, does have a lot of data in this shared file. So here, guys, if you look here, information that's enumerated by the attacker or by the intruder, if someone internally doing this, okay, it could be network resources, something you shared in the network, okay, so network resources, network shares, shared files, okay, routing tables. What we mean by routing tables, that's each computer of our computer, guys, does have a route table, and our routers does have a route table. Why we have different route table? Because your computer needs to know how he can route the information outside, okay? And if you have one, two, three routers within the organization, how they forward this data to each other, they call it also routing table. So I'm interested to know the routing table in your computer and to your router, because this is will allow the attacker to really draw a topology or a diagram for what kind of network you have. So this is very important as well, okay? Audit and service settings, okay? If you have any service settings, okay, in a server or on a computers, you need also to get this information. Okay, SNMP and FQDN details. These are basically two protocols that used in our network to control and manage network devices. So it's called Simple Network Management Protocol. And the whole idea behind the Simple Network Management Protocol is to protocol different routers and the switches and firewalls. So if you really can really get into the SMB, you can really extract a lot of information about our network devices, and sometimes allow you to authenticate one of the devices and act as an authenticated administrator. So this is also very important for the attackers. Machine names, okay, this is also important. Why? Because machine names will allow you to do island hopping. Means if you compromise one machine and you wanted to really use it to find another machine, okay, there is a NetBIOS protocol that we will talk about later on. It will allow you using the machine name to jump to know this machine, the other machine names, and what is the shares in this other machine names, and who is authorized to access these machines and users and groups. So it's also will give you the machine names, users, and the group is very important. Why? Because if you have the username accessing a machine and the group of this machine that is allowed to log into this machine, you have half of the login information. So later on, you need to just do password crackers to really to attack this machine or to log into this machine remotely. And then it will also allow you to get some application and banners running. Means that some certain machine will be running a certain application. You can get the application running on this machine. Okay, in a nice diagram about this guys here. So if you look
Okay,
at
Mr.
the,
Shadi.
yes,
So, enumeration also about gathering information, but as I know, photo printing also about gathering information.
yeah,
So, what's the difference between them?
yes, the difference, as I mentioned here, guys, that we really wanted some information that we didn't gather in the early beginning. So in the early beginning, if you remember in the
Oh,
printing,
so enumeration, it's after I gain access to the machine.
yeah, again, okay, this is what I was trying to explain before. So enumeration can be done in two cases, okay? One
Mm-hmm.
cases, let me explain it here so it can be really clear because it is really a little bit confusing. Okay, so here, okay, we mentioned here you can scan and find vulnerability, and when you find vulnerability, you can exploit the system, right? After scanning vulnerability. Okay, so this is
Okay.
and even before enumeration. So you can exploit a machine here. Okay, once you exploit it, you do enumeration. Why? Because you wanted to gain more information about, this network that you are part of it right now. Because once you exploit machine, okay, you wanted to know what other information exists in other machine you are connected to. Okay, let's say you
Okay.
connected, you compromise a web server, and you wanted to really using certain protocols that you're using within the network, okay, to really get more information about this machine, who is the user logged in this machine, who is the password here, okay, what is the shared file in this machine, okay, so you done this after exploitation. So this is one case, okay, or you have not done an exploitation yet, okay, but you are part of the internal network. What that mean? You have a malicious user within the network, and malicious user within the network, malicious user within the network means I didn't still exploit anything, okay? But I'm malicious user means I'm internally, this is my network, okay? And I'm a malicious user sitting on this computer. I wanted really to gather more information about the computers that's part of your internal network. So I'm part of internal network. I wanted to know who is logged to this machine, who is he is sharing, who logged to this machine, what is he sharing, okay? Because later on, I can really steal this information or maybe to crack a password and log into this machine internally. So we can do enumeration in two cases. The case of post exploitation, as I explained, you exploited machine right after scanning, and you trying because this machine is part of this network to collect some data and send it to the attacker. So this is we consider enumeration our post exploitation enumeration. Okay. So this is one case.
Okay.
The other case, number two, you scan a network, okay? You are part of the internal network. You didn't exploit anything yet, but you wanted more information, okay? But you are part of the internal network. So you start to do enumeration, okay? To take the username and to the shares within the network. Uh, so the difference between footprinting here and both of these strategy, footprinting is done completely from outside, okay? While
Okay.
the enumeration here is either done internally, okay, or either done after exploitation,
Okay.
okay?
Got it. Thank you.
Uh, Okay, so this is guys, okay, so this is exactly what I was like really thinking about today in the morning, how to really explain this enumeration to you guys, and when is the cases is we can do an enumeration. So enumeration can be post exploitation or from internally, and that's why he's mentioning here you can do enumeration if you are part of the internal intranet environment. Okay, and that's why it's very dangerous, guys, to have someone from outside, like maybe a contractor or maybe someone who's a third party, he's helping you to do some extra work in your company, and you bring his laptop and then install this laptop in your environment. You know why? Because once you install install his computer to your environment, he can start to do enumeration. Why? Because he's part right now of your computer, so he's part of your intranet environment. Or you have a malicious user within your environment and he started to use the protocol that exists in this environment to collect more information. So he's part of your internal. So the difference between footprinting and again the enumeration is this specific statement. Okay, the specific statement is footprinting and reconnaissance done while you're still outside, it completely doesn't have any connection to the inside, while this enumeration and this phase done where you are internally, whether you are a malicious user, whether you are a contractor or a third party, someone connect his laptop to your network. And that's why one of the recommendations always, if you bring someone from outside, don't connect him to the internal network, because if you connect him to the internal network, it allow him to do much more stuff, okay, than someone externally. Like what? Like he can enumerate username and password from different machines, and he can exploit this machine because he is part of the same protocols. Okay, so we'll talk about this also in details when we talk about enumeration. But very good questions, Yostas. Okay, so its purpose is to gain even more information about the target system, like the routing tables, users, and group. Enumeration is active and does not include some scanning. So you're not scanning. You know what type of information you are looking for, and you're not scanning the network anymore. So this is what makes it different, because when we see enumeration, we see after now, we'll just say, I'm gonna use my NetBIOS protocol to talk to a certain server and get all the users they are working in this server. So this is not a scanning. I know who is I'm talking to. I need also to extract some information from it. Okay. And how do we do this? Okay. We have the target. We try to collect names, service, network map, user and groups, and routing information from the target. Okay. Um, what kind of protocol will allow us and will help us to get this information? There is so many protocols that runs internal within our internal networks that will allow us to do this. So one of them are network time protocol, LDP for Active Directory. This is, guys, how we search the Active Directory for a certain information. Okay, so if you run a certain LDP query to a certain machine, you are expecting to really getting some results from this LDP query, or maybe you LDP query to the Active Directory and see how the Active Directory will respond to you. Okay, especially again, we are internally, so we have a trust between us and the Active Directory, so we can really query the database in the Active Directory. Okay, and we get some result out of it. So this is also important. Okay, guys. Okay, guys, do you have any issues with hearing me? Because I feel like Nawar is saying that we have my voice is cutting. Do you
Your
have?
voice is very clear for me.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's clear for me too.
Okay, great. So also SMTP, guys, SMTP is also a protocol that we use for really our email servers. So email servers also something internally, we can really have a conversation with the email server, okay, and get the email server to respond back. Okay, also within the organization means we are authenticated, so we can get more information. I will tell you a story. Once I did it with one of my friends here using the SMTP internal and the network. Okay, NetBIOS is also a protocol. It's very close to how DNS working because it transfer machine names, okay, to an IP address, okay, and it's also you can really use the NetBIOS name to do a query to another machine and get some service and some users from this machine using NetBIOS queries. Okay, SNB is a protocol within our network to control all our routers and the switches and firewalls, and it's management control. Means you have one administrator who manages all the network using SMB traffic. Okay, and it will allow him to send the traffic to our routers and the switches, and these routers and the switches will reply back, or it will allow him to control this machine by configuration. Okay, so imagine if we have an attacker here and he managed to really use the SMB to query the configuration from the router and the switches. He can get our routing table. He can get our CAIM table. He can see who is connecting to which. Okay, so it will allow the attacker really to do much damage if he have, or maybe he allow him if he managed to compromise the password of SMB. Okay, to have to gain access to our router and the switches. DNS, as you guys know, this is where our all translation between IP addresses and to service. And again, that DNS is just a database, okay, and you can query this database, especially if you're internal network, and get some information out of DNS. So this is also very important to really talk to DNS and query the DNS and see how the DNS is responding to you. And again, it's much dangerous because you are part of the internal network now. Whether you have compromised the system, or whether you are internal user, or whether you are maybe a contractor who managed to connect his computer to the network. Okay, so this is all different protocol. And again, why these are protocol? Because this is very common protocol to use within our network. You don't find any other network right now doesn't have one of these two protocols are not running. So it's always, especially NetBIOS is on by default in all Windows machines. So this is why it's the favorite favorite system or favorite protocol for the attacker to really integrate and really to get some data out of it. Again, you should know the port numbers, okay, and the port numbers are not really clear here, okay, but I have another diagram here that you can really see the port numbers for all these protocols that I have just mentioned. So these protocols are, I mentioned, we have DNS, we can talk to the DNS. In order to talk to DNS, you need to know the port number. Okay, so in order to enumerate this, you need to know that the port number for DNS is 53. You need to know that TCP, UDP, Microsoft RBC endpoint mapper. Okay, 137 is NetBIOS. 139 is another NetBIOS, but it's using SMB, a server message block. Okay, you need also to know that SMB is running in 445. And I'm telling you, these ports by default is running. If you run Nmap scanning, sorry, if you run in Nmap scanning in any machine, in Windows machine, so I have a Windows machine in my environment here. Okay, let me see if my Windows is gonna be responding. Okay, so if I have my Windows machine is running here, it will run. I will just get the IP address and I will scan the IP address using my Nmap, and you can see all these ports by default is open. So you can communicate with these ports, and if you set the right query, okay, it will respond back with the right answers. So this is also part of the enumeration. I'm just gonna try to log in here quickly. Okay, I'm gonna try to check the IP address here for this machine. It's a little bit slow because it just started. So I think this is gonna be the IP address anyway. So yes, okay, so it's 182.187. So if I add this IP address here, okay, and I ask it for intense scanning with all the stuff that we do. So this is the intense scanning. And then I'm scanning this specific host. Okay, guys, it will start the scanning, and let's see what kind of ports it will show up here after it's finished the scanning. You will find most of these ports that I'm showing you here in the lecture is open by default. Again, why? Because this is by default. Microsoft enables them within the organization to really have the machine are able to communicate to each other and share data with each other. Also, we have UDP 161, this is the SNB, the Simple Network Management Protocol. If the computer is running SNB, you will find this port is open. Also, a port 389, if you have an Active Directory, this port is also will be running. Okay. Also, this is another port for Active Directory, port 25 for SMTP. Okay, port 162 is still for SNB. Okay, UDP 500. This is something for VPN. Okay, and you have also TCP port 5061 for session initiation protocol SIP. Okay, so this is really well-known ports. You should be able to recognize them, because sometimes in the exams they will ask you about these port numbers and what they do, especially, you know, at least this port number on the left-hand side, they are very well known. Okay. Okay, I will share this with you right after we finish. I will share this port numbers. And again, in one interview, I was there before, and you know, they show me all. They give me like you know, was like first time I see this in the interview. It was a German company. Okay, and they give me like they said, okay, you know what? We have DNS. Okay, and they give me here different ports like 135, okay, and all these ports, and they name here some of the service, and they wanted really you to connect between the right DNS and the right port numbers. So this is also, it could be a question in interview. You know which port is used for DNS. So this is another thing that you really also need to know about. Okay, let me see if my scanning is finished. Still okay. Let me see. Let's start. Okay, it's taking some times. Okay, but when it finish, we'll look at the port numbers here and we'll see how it went. Okay, let's see if scanning should be scanning right now. Okay, completing the still scanning. Okay, the initiating service scanning. Okay. So maybe it will take some time, and then we can see the results here in the ports and the host name. Okay, so let's go ahead and we talk about what are the goals of enumeration. Okay, so the goals in enumeration, this is the last part to finalize the details about the big pictures. Okay, because what we have now, service running, we have already network ports opened. We have a live system by Bing sweep or different systems. We now are trying to complete this puzzle by looking at, what shares are there in the network, what users are using these systems. Okay, what is the routing table for these networks? So this is all this kind of information that can complete the idea about how your network looks like, what kind of users they are using, what kind of groups you are using these computers. So this is really beneficial for the attacker if you wanted to launch another attack, or if you have an internal malicious users. Okay, what information do we ideally need in this phase? A list of devices and their rules and configuration, a network map, list of application with version numbers. This is can be also, we can have in the scanning phase, a list of people that work for at this target. So this is important. This is, I would say this is a very important thing, because if you know the username who's for someone who's using this system, now you can complete later on the puzzle and try to crack his password. Any information about that target, no matter how insignificant it may seem, could prove to be vital downline the attack. So anything that you can collect in this phase, also in enumeration or even in the fingerprint or scanning, maybe it does look not very important in the beginning, but later on you can find it useful later on when you complete it. Okay, guys. So this is another thing. Okay, uh, this is the same thing we are trying to enumerate. Mail ID, if we have default password, we can see. Okay, if we can able to get information from DNS by something called DNS zone transfer, especially if you internally you are authenticated to talk to your DNS. Okay, can I really download everything in the DNS in my computer? Why? Because if you have the DNS forward zone or zone transfer to your computer, you can see every single record in your DNS. So you can get all MX record, you can get any machine in your network IP address and the name. This is like you are downloading a catalog for your network. So DNS is important, and that's why a lot of attacks is targeting DNS to just do DNS zone transfer. I remember I was in CTF once, and they ask us, the first stage of the CTF is basically is to get the zone transfer. So you wanted to really to attack the DNS, okay, and install download this zone to do a zone transfer to copy everything record in the DNS in your computer. This was first step. Why? Because if you download this, you will have a list of all the computers here, okay, and their IP address. So later on, you can attack each computer individually and get the flag from each computer. Okay, so what the first stage was called a zone transfer, and the zone transfer means I wanted all the records in DNS because this will be helpful for the attack. Okay, extract username using SNB. Again, what is extracting? Extracting maybe means like you are trying to get the username and password for SMB, because SMB is the protocol that's really manage all the routers and the switches within your network. So if I manage to steal this user's name and password, I can manage these devices. I can restart these devices. I can, extract data from these devices. So this is really important here. Okay. Also, brute force Active Directory. If you are internally or you manage to exploit the system and you are within the Active Directory domain, there is so many attacks that you can do in this case, guys, that will allow you to gain more access or even to get more privilege within the network. So again, what is an Active Directory? Active Directory is a database for the users and computers within a certain company, within a certain corporate. If I manage to talk to this database and get some information out of it, or maybe to authenticate to the database and escalate my privilege, this is be a game over. And that's why in a lot of the certificates right now that talks about penetration testing, they cover Active Directory in a really deep details. Okay, and it's really important to look at Active Directory penetration testing. Asad, we can ask him to do maybe a demo for how to really attack Active Directory, and it will be also beneficial for you guys to really have an Active Directory installed by your hands and having it even in a virtual environment, so you can later on play with authentication and playing with attacks on Active Directory. So this is also important. And again, we are trying to extract users groups from Windows. How can we do this? Windows are running something called NetBIOS. It used to be NetBIOS for a long time. Okay, and now they're changing the NetBIOS names to something called LLMNR. Okay, this is another service in Windows, and the whole idea here in NetBIOS, guys, is we be able to communicate and share information over a protocol called NetBIOS, and we'll explain how NetBIOS is going to work. Okay, so this is the information that I'm trying to gain from enumeration. So it's a bit different information, guys, that what we have collected from the early beginning of also food printing. So I think one of you guys was asking what is the difference between the enumeration and food printing. So we can see from in this diagram that the information we gather here is different from what we have gathered already in food printing and um, also what we call it reconnaissance. So this is done internally and done by integrating, done by acquiring a certain service within our network and see how the results look like. Okay, so here the net BIOS enumeration. So in this course, guys, we will try to look at each one of these protocols and how these protocols are running and what tools in maybe I would say, and maybe in Kali Linux or maybe in our Windows machine we can use to really get this information from these protocols. So here, NetBIOS enumeration, and as you can see, NetBIOS name is a unique 16 character. So when you are, every computer within our network will have a certain name, okay? It's called the NetBIOS name, and I will show you guys how to look at the NetBIOS right now, okay? And also, it's is this character used to identify the network device over TCP/IP. What we mean by this? The NetBIOS protocol is a protocol is an upper layer of TCP. So if you wanted to see how this looks like, so this is our OSI model or TCP model. We have here the application model, and we have NetBIOS, and NetBIOS is running over TCP UDP. And specifically in Windows, it uses TCP because it's more reliable. So that when you send the query and waiting for a reply back, it uses the TCP, and we mentioned that TCP is reliable because we have something called sequence number and acknowledgement, and the sequence number and acknowledgement will ensure reliability for NetBIOS. So that's what we said, that the NetBIOS is running over TCP, and this protocol is basically, as I mentioned here, it identifies the network devices, okay, whether it's a computer or a laptop or a server within your network. 15 characters out of these 16 characters are used for the device name. So out of these 16 characters, okay, we have 15 used for the computer name or for the device name. But then there is one character specifically at the end, okay, it's just two numbers, and these two numbers is gonna tell you what is the functionality of these host names, or what is the functionality of the device name. So here, and the 16th character is reserved for the service or name record type. Okay, guys. So usually, if you have a computer, you will have 15 character as a host name, and beside this 15 character, you will find 2 zeros or 01 or 02 or 03, and each one of these numbers represent what kind of service these devices are doing. Okay, so and how is the NetBIOS really work? So if you are having two computers here and you wanted to really communicate to computers, so what happened is you can say, you know what, I wanted to know what is the IP address for sales computers, because again, NetBIOS are working within our network, okay, and it's gonna be allow you to communicate with computer within your network. So what happened here? When you wanted really to send data to the sales computer or retrieve data from sales computer, you can send their query, okay, and this query is basically something for like very similar for what we have talked about before in the network level 2, okay, and the NetBIOS names, okay, is either shared in the cache, or we used WIN's service to get this, or we broadcast a message within the network, okay, to really find out about the sales computer IP address, or maybe this NetBIOS names are located in the LM host file within your Windows System 32. Okay, the whole idea here, in order to communicate within the network, I need to know the IP address of this computer. Okay, how do I know the IP address of a computer? Okay, I can use something called NetBIOS name resolution. And NetBIOS name resolution is gonna do what? Is gonna send the request or a broadcast within the network, and whoever has this IP address will reply back with his IP address. And again, why I need this IP address? Because in order really to send any traffic over a network, we need two IP addresses, because the IP address will be used to really communicate eventually with the target system. Okay, and the whole idea here is NetBIOS is going to do the broadcasting, and this is going to be over the TCP IP. So the broadcasting is done. Okay, this computer get the request, he will reply back with his IP address, and then you will be able to communicate over here. Okay, but again, NetBIOS, okay, I can use it to query a certain computer just by the name of the computer, and I get some results out of the computer. Like what? What is his complete name? What kind of users are using this computer? What kind of groups are in this computer? What kind of shares exist in this computer? According طبعا for of what this functionality of this computer. Okay. And again, here is a definition again for what is basically NetBIOS. Simply, it's a protocol that allows connection of files and printers through what? Through the session layer of SSL model or our LAN. Okay, and again, will allow me to check what kind of files shares you are doing, what kind of printers you have in your computer, what kind of users you have in this computer over a file share. So this is the functionality of again of NetBIOS. But the attacker are using it for a different reason. Why? Because I wanted to gain more information about systems that's connecting with me within the network. So by default, I told you all these ports are open. So if my here this finished, let me show you these ports are by default is running in my computer. So if I don't know why it's not showing here. If I scan, let me scan my computer. Just give me 1 second. Guys, let me check. This is all NetBIOS name states. So you can see, guys, over here, this is the name. I was doing NetBIOS yesterday to this specific computers, and I get the NetBIOS name and which group is connecting to. So this is the computer name, and this is the group that's connected to. Okay, you can say NetBIOS NBT state -N or -A, but I wanted really yesterday I was also doing NBT, okay, against this computer specifically. So this is 192.168.8.143, and you can see this is the name of the computer. This is the groups that this part of computers, and you can see different codes here that we talked about in a second. That the different codes, it means these computers are running certain service in this computer. But again, I just wanted to figure out what is my IP address right now. So when I get this IP address, let me scan this IP address quickly and show you that these ports by default, the NetBIOS ports, which is 137, 138, 139, are really there by default. Yani they are already open by default in each Windows operating system, and that's why by default, if you are within the organization, you can really retrieve a lot of data. Hi, Somi, how are you doing today?
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. I'm good. Wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
How is everything, Somi? Seems you have an announcement. Yeah,
Pretty
do you
much
have
busy this week.
Okay, do you have an announcement today?
Not announcement. I think I'm here to cover for you from 2:30, like 12:11.
Okay, so are you able to give them a little bit demo about enumeration?
Yep, I was planning for the same.
Okay, So have you guys done an enumeration with Sumi before on Metasploit 3 machine?
No, we did not, but we did it with Asad yesterday. We used the enumeration test for the lab yesterday. We did in map 2 for the enumerations, but we did not do it with Somi. We did it with Asad yesterday.
Okay, so I think that this will be beneficial for you guys to do a DNS enumeration and also in not bias enumeration. Today also with Sumi over the Metasploit 2. So you will as long as you have Metasploit 2 running in your machine, running in your virtual environment, you can easily do net bias enumeration and also DNS enumeration. So if Sumi can take it from here, because I have some really appointments in 10:30. So what I will do, guys, right now, I will give you a break, okay? 20 minutes, and then when you come back, inshallah, from the break, you can go ahead and continue with Sumi how to do enumeration for the Metasploit 3 machine. Okay, guys? So right now I'm gonna do
Shadi, just for
20
confirmation,
minutes.
you
Yeah.
want me to cover Metasploitable 2 enumeration or Metasploitable 3 enumeration?
If guys, what machine you have already downloaded yesterday?
We did it in the Windows machine. I believe it's 6.9, the Windows Server 2008.
We have both of them. We actually downloaded both of them.
You downloaded both
Yes.
Metasploit 2 and 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we did the enumeration in just the Windows one. I believe it was 3 or 2. I'm not really sure which one Windows is, but we did it in one machine. We did not do it in both of them for the enumeration thing.
Okay, so I got what you're saying. Okay, great. So if you can do it, Sumi, on Metasploitable 2, it'll be easy also to conduct. And I think it will show a lot of information, that something that we were talking about today.
Got it. So I'll start downloading the Metasploitable 2. So it will take like 5 to 10 minutes for me to download it.
Okay,
Allow me
great.
that.
So we'll give them a 20 minutes break, and then when we come back from the 20 minutes break, we will be looking at basically the enumeration with Sumi and Metasploitable 2. Okay, guys?
Okay.
Sumi, can you share with them the link as well?
For the download?
Yes.
Sure, I'll do that.
Okay, guys, before we go to the break, can you guys please try to download, Metasploitable 2, a virtual machine. It's very easy and very handy also to have it in your environment.
Mr.
Yeah.
Shadi.
I believe most of us have it because we did do labs on it. So I believe most of us have it.
We did the 2 labs in the 2 machines.
Okay, perfect. So if you have it, that's fine. If you don't have it, please have it in your environment and have it up and
Mr.
running. Okay?
Shadi.
Yeah, sure.
Which one? The Windows one or the Ubuntu one?
This is Ubuntu one.
Okay.
Okay, and the link here
Thank you.
is shared by Sumi here in the basically in the background. Sorry, in the chat box. So once you have it, click the link and you will find the machine here. You can just click the link and it will start to download the machine in your environment as well. Okay, guys. I'll see you guys.
Just for information, like Metasploitable 3 has Windows and Ubuntu, but we're not talking about Metasploitable 3, guys. We're talking about Metasploitable 2, which is only on Linux. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, guys.
Yes. So if you don't have that, please download it.
Okay, see you guys in 20 minutes. Okay, we'll come back around 10:20.
Okay, thanks.
It was soon, Mr. Shadi.
Okay, have a great day, guys.
Masalama Shadi.
Awesome. Bye.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Everyone is back here.
I'm here. Salam, Mr. Sumi. How are you?
How are you all?
Fine, alhamdulillah. And you? How are you?
I'm good.
Fine. Firstly, I want to thank you, Somi, so much for covering me today. Really appreciate it. Really. Many thanks.
No worries, Abir. It's all right. Great. So how have you all been? Am I audible?
Yeah, but the machine is still downloaded. It's not finished. It's
No worries.
okay.
You can stop it. We can keep it on Metasploitable 3. That would be a lot easier for everyone.
Okay.
Is Basam here?
بسام تحت الطلب يلا.
No, Basam is not here.
Just a minute, Jack.
I don't think he's here today. He's there. I can see his name.
Yes, he is here. I think he didn't back from
Basam,
the break.
he went to sleep.
No, I think he still took his coffee.
Okay, no worries. Okay. Can we begin now?
Give them 2 minutes more and start at
Okay,
1.
let's allow them 2 minutes more.
Sorry. You can start at 10:30.
Cool.
Yeah. اضحك يا ابتسام. ايه وراك؟ ربي يديم الضحك يا رب.
You guys are talking in Arabic and I'm not able to understand.
I think you can understand that, right?
Not that much, but I can like understand a little about it.
Okay. I'll teach you Arabic. This is an offer. I can provide it to you, and you supposed to teach me India.
I think that's a good trade-off for learning languages.
Yes. I told my
You see,
friend
like I
that
have so
I
much
need
of
to. I want to.
cybersecurity.
What?
I said like I have so much of cybersecurity in my brain right now. I don't have any space for other languages.
Just
That's
full
the honest
mind.
reality.
It will
Yeah,
be
but that's
hang.
machine language, not human language.
I don't know. I think I am better with talking machines than
Oh,
talking.
yeah, we see that, mashallah.
Thank you. Okay, now I think Abir, I can begin if you don't mind.
Sorry, up your voice, please, Somi.
I said like now I can begin, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, you can start.
Exciting. What about today?
Great.
I'll teach
Just
you
a second,
about
guys.
Enam.
Let it start. Shahad, most probably you might have set in the wrong configuration of the machine. That
This
is
is
wrong
my
in case it
yesterday
doesn't give
problem,
CIP.
Somi. This is
The
my
IP thing?
what?
The IP problem?
Yes, yesterday I have a problem in my machine network, but I solved it, alhamdulillah. It's also my machine was crashed. I just back to the last snapshot and update my repository. It take a long time. Then I resolve the network issue.
Great. So what I'll be doing today is covering the enumeration part for you all today. Before I start with anything, few things I want to ask so that I could understand that you are ready to understand enumeration. So the first question is, what do you understand by the term enumeration, everyone? What do you understand by term enumeration? Go on, answer it.
وينكم شباب؟
What's the question? You can't repeat the question again, please?
The question is, what is enumeration?
Yeah.
So I believe enumeration is about exploration and gathering information. It's different from food sprinting. It's like a next step when you gain access to the network and you want to gather more information about the network and like users groups and etc.
Okay, now I'm going to confuse you all a little bit. What is the first step of ethical hacking?
Reconnaissance.
Okay, the first step is reconnaissance, correct?
Yes.
What is the second step?
Scanning.
Scanning.
Scanning. Okay. Scanning is also known as like information gathering, correct? We call it as info.
What?
Yes. It's
Information gathering, infoga.
Yeah.
Now my question is how these two are different from enumeration. What is the difference between them?
Because in enumeration, you actually can exploit the system. When in the first two steps, you only like get a scan like outside of the network. I don't know if it's logical.
How many of you agree that exploitation is part of enumeration?
It's like the first step of exploitation.
It could be, since you're collecting usernames, maybe like net bios and things like this. It could be like really helpful in the exploration phase, but
Okay.
So it's the first
I don't want to
step.
make it more complicated. Just for an ease, what we did is like we put everything, the scanning, the information gathering, the reconnaissance, everything as part of enumeration. It is not the part of exploitation, rather it is something that happens before the exploitation, where you enumerate the target. For example, what is my target IP? What services are running? What ports are open? Okay. So I could just make it like scanning, and within scanning, you check what are the ports open. And then after ports, you check what are the services open on them. After checking for services, you check for the version of those services. And then finally, you like infer out of all these that what are the possible vulnerabilities available, correct? Yes or no?
Correct.
So never get confused that enumeration is part of exploitation. Enumeration is something that happens before the exploitation, correct?
Yes, correct.
It's like an assassination. Who is going to assassinate someone? He tries to mark everything about the target, like where he is going, at what time he goes. For example, that guy goes to the mosque at every 5 a.m. in the morning. So my sniper, whoever I've chosen for like assassinating him, he will be following him since the morning 5 a.m. that he steps out from the 5 a.m. Exactly, Naf. Mark his head, clean shot. Okay. So that is the part of enumeration. But like when he's firing that button, like when he's pulling that trigger to shoot, that is the part of exploitation. Correct? Does that make sense, everyone?
Yes.
Okay. Also, let me know if I am going too fast. I can slow down my pace again. Okay, let me clear this out. So today we will be talking about first getting IP of the target, enumerating target. In enumeration, we will be talking about SMB enumeration. That is one of the most important. What is SMB?
Inside or outside of the network?
Again, we're talking in the same network, so you can say inside the network.
Okay.
But this will work outside the network as well, what we are going to talk today. Okay. Cool. What is SMB, anyone?
What is it?
What is SMB?
Check his message block.
Oh, Yaya is here. Sorry, Basam is here. Hey, Basam, how are you?
Yeah, I'm here.
I missed your last one.
I'm sitting between. I'm sitting in the kitchen though. I'm sorry.
In kitchen, like Basam is like eating,
Yeah,
Kawsa on the other hand, like
yeah.
writing in the other hand. Okay. So SMB stands for server message block. People also understand like it is from the Samba server and everything. So that is all like interconnected with this one. So don't get confused. Okay, we call it Samba servers. The other thing you need to understand that it is responsible for making your device to be able to communicate with other device. For example, this is one device and this is the other device. They want to talk to each other. They want to share something. So all these things are done by the help of Samba shares. You can understand Samba share as a first aid kit box where everything is kept. Whoever needs among you goes there and use that first aid kit for your use, correct? The same thing is done with the Samba servers. It creates a folder. In that folder, people keep their stuff. Whoever needs those and have access to it, they go and use it for their use. Okay. Now there is a lot of theory about it, like what version was responsible for what. I'm not going to go in that depth. Rather, I'll be talking about enumeration of Samba and how we're going to do it. Before we begin with the Samba enumeration, the first thing we'll be doing is NMB lookup, that is like NBT scan and all these things. We call it as host name scans, okay? Host names. Let me write it down for you. Once you do the host name scan, the tools that you will be using, if you want to know, most probably the first tool would be NMB lookup. I'm bad at writing, okay? So do not make fun of it. So after NMB lookup, then we will be going with NBT scan. See, at least I'm trying to write, okay? So once we have NBT scan, then we have NBT NSE script. How many of you know about NSE script?
No, your handwriting is very bad, Mr. Soni. I'm sorry.
I'm writing with a mouse, come on.
So sorry to hear that, Somi.
I am writing with mouse.
Like I cannot read anything. I'm trying to type thing, but I cannot read it.
Okay.
You just scratch.
Let me change it with this one.
You just
That
scratch.
was like faster. Okay. Okay. Is it fine
Very
now?
fine, yes.
Yes, way better.
You guys are making fun of me. That's sad. Okay. For SMB enumeration, we'll be starting with host name. For host name, we'll be starting with NMB lookup. Once we are done with the NMB lookup, we'll be checking for the other tools. The next tool that we'll be using for the NBT scan is NBT scan itself. I don't know if you have heard about this tool name or not, but it will come handy when you are doing it later on. Then we'll go to NBT, what do you say, like stat, something like that, you can call it like that. And it is an NSE script, okay? What is NSE script, everyone? What is NSE script?
Oh,
I don't know.
No one knows. Come on,
no,
I
no.
covered it for you all. We used Nmap script scans, remember?
Ah, okay. Yeah, it makes sense.
NSE stands for Nmap scripting engine. Remember that, okay? Nmap scripting engine. Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
Then we have NBT stat. Once we cover the NBT stat, I know there would be a lot of tool today. Don't get mixed up or confused. Finally, we'll be using ping. And the last one would be for host name enumeration is SMB as a service, or that is a script of, again, the NSE, okay? You can write it as NB as a discovery. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Sorry for my typos. Again, it is NSC, so I'll write NSC in the bracket. Any doubt till this point? No doubts? Okay. This is the first phase of the today's lab. Then we will be going on the second and third lab. Okay. Second and third phase of it. Let me start with the first one. Okay. This is your Windows machine, which is up and running. Make sure when you start it, you start the WAMP server. Click on Start WAMP server. Nothing will pop up here. Just go to the task manager. It will be right here. Click on it and start all service. That's it. You have to do only this much. Once it starts, now our task begins. The step one is finding the IP of the target machine, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Now, how many of you remember how do we find IP address of the target?
Discover, net discover.
Okay, net discover. Then
Then you should there is a lot. There's many ways to scan. You can choose first block of the ID and then /24, or you can scan by the Ethernet, and yeah, there is different way.
exactly. So how long it takes to scan the network?
Sometimes minutes, sometimes
Exactly, Shazza. I was
seconds.
coming to that.
It's depends how.
Now you remember the lab I covered for you
Yeah, I remember.
in exactly. So go for that only. Art scan -L. Okay. Now, most probably by the experience, I know this PCS system technique GMB would be my IP. So I'll choose this one. But if you don't know, you'll have to go through all of them one by one. Correct? One is not the answer for sure. You will have to go through these two.
Okay.
Nice, Shada. But today we are talking about SMB enumeration. So we will not be doing nmap-sv first. First, we will be looking for NMB lookups, okay, to check what are the Samba servers running on it. Now, just in case, I have added one more step for you all. For example, you are scanning a system. How do you know even Samba is running there? You don't know, correct? That's the
Yes.
reality. So I'll be starting with making you understand like why are we doing the SMB server scan, and then we'll talk much more in depth later on. So for now, just give me a second. I'll have to stop sharing the screen. I hope someone had taken the screenshot of what I've written there.
Yes, I did.
Great. I just post it on the Discord so that whoever don't have, they can have it. Okay.
All right. Okay.
Just give me a second. Okay, I hope my screen is visible properly to everyone now. I just because I covered this yesterday for the other cohort, all the things are already here. That's why I'll be changing my directory to the other directory. So for that, I'll create mpdir cohort C, and let's go into that cohort C directory. Whatever I'll be doing in this current directory, just so that we have a record of it. Okay. The very first thing that you should do whenever you get any target is do ping. Okay. Just to make sure that you are reachable to them. And if you're getting the response back, that means you are reachable. Does that make sense now?
Yes.
Yep.
Great. The next step is doing the entire port scan. Why I'm saying entire port scan? Anyone, why
Find the
I'm saying
ports that
entire port?
one.
Exactly. So if I just go for simple scan, it will scan the top 1024 well-known ports, correct?
Yes.
But we might miss some of the important ports which are already running there with some services if you're not doing the entire port scan. For that, I'll show you the difference between them. Let me run it once with the -p hyphen, and then I'll run it without the -p hyphen, okay? Just to show you that how much port difference can be there.
Okay.
Yes. So let me just do it on the other tab. And let's compare them. Now, being a pen tester, I have a small question that is it good that I go on each and every port one by one to scan them?
No,
So what should I do ideally?
you should put the ports you want to look for in the Nmap P, then you put your ports number.
Exactly. So for that, I'll be training you for how to make it happen in lesser steps. Okay. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yes.
Great. So let me just show you the difference between them, and then I cannot click again. Just give me a second.
So we don't need to do the steps you did earlier.
Can you come again?
We don't have to do the steps you did earlier, the Nmap and the bank.
No. It's just I'm telling you what are the steps that you should do ideally. It is up to you what procedure you follow. Okay.
Okay.
Now the second thing is, do you think I would have enough time when I'm doing the pen test? I would have enough time to read on every port, copy on every port, and do the scan again and again?
No.
Will it be feasible for me? Obviously not. So what I'll do here is I'll grab open keyword from here. Why I'm gripping open? Because for every port, there's only one word that is different for the other, that is open, correct?
Yeah, you need the open one only.
So next step would be, once I grab the open ports, what would be my next step? I'll cut it. I'll cut with the help of the empty space. Why I'm cutting it with the help of empty space?
And
Let me show you these things happening in real as well.
to organize.
Exactly, to organize. Let me show you these things. Okay. Try.txt. Let me paste it, save. Now, as you can see, right now it has all the ports, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
The first thing that I did was I did cut -d, and I emptied that, like I choose that particular first field. When I do this, I'll get port numbers and TCP, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Now I'll use the same thing again. I'll do cut, and this time what I'll do is I'll cut it with the help of this backslash character. And then I'll again choose the first field. What will happen? It will break into
It
two
will.
different blocks, this one and this one. And the first one would be chosen. So the first one is the port numbers. Now I have all the port numbers, correct?
Yes.
But is it like having it in different lines, will it work? Or should I make it changed by the help of comma, separated by commas?
Yeah, it's okay both ways.
It will not work. You can try it. When you give it to the
Yeah,
Enna, how are you
because
going
we
to give?
have a comma between them.
Exactly. You cannot make it happen without the commas. Then for that, you can use SED, or what I prefer, that is TR. Within TR, what I'll do, I'll tell that remove all the \n character. That means new line character with what? With comma. And now when I hit enter, can you see what is the format?
Yes.
So we needed this one, correct? Let's apply the same these things into our scan. Okay, yep. Now this one is the other one, the scan we did without hyphen p hyphen. Can you see how many less ports we have here?
Yes.
That is why I said hyphen p hyphen is the first step that you should do. Now, once I'm done till this particular point, what was the first thing that I did? I chose the first field, correct? After choosing the first field, I again did the cut, with the help of which let me know once doing this, I replaced all the new line characters with what? With the so let's just wait because we need to enumerate these ports as well because it has unknown services, correct?
Yes.
Tell them if anyone has any doubt, you can ask me right away. These are the things that we are going to do in the first phase. We have already done the ping, correct? So I'll do it as ping done as cross. It is not hyphen x, it is cross. Okay. And that is
Just write done.
Finished.
okay. Alas. Okay.
Much better.
Yep. So let it done, let it be do, yeah, let it be done, and then we can begin. So before this hosting, what we did nmap scan. Why we did nmap scan?
To know which ports that open.
Exactly. So for IP, then nmap scan with hyphen p hyphen, correct?
Yes.
For states, and this is also
Colors.
alas. Done. After that, we did what? We filtered the
Filter the results.
filtered the exactly filtered the output using scripting. Now you understand why scripting is so much important for all the pen testers.
Yes, to organize and make it easy to refer to later.
Exactly. Right. If I would have to like do a test on it and I would have to write every port one by one, don't you think it would take like around 5 minutes for me just taking the ports from there and writing it in the port numbers only?
Yeah, so you can learn in the beginning doing it by yourself. Scripting is gonna do everything for you. Sorry.
True, true. Like when you join a company, when you become a cybersecurity engineer, trust me, you'll have scripts for you which are doing the pen testing. You are not going to do that pen testing because you have other activities to do at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay. Since it is taking the time to do the scan, I'll show you the other steps running the NMB lookup, NMB, NPT scan and everything. And when it is done, we'll be back here.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me open another terminal now. I'm using root terminals today only because I don't want to write sudo, sudo, sudo again and again. Okay. The next thing that we are going to do today is running the, what was that? NMB lookup. Okay.
Mhm.
Let me write class, and let's come here. Now, just for your understanding, this NMB lookup, the tool that we are doing for the enumeration of Samba server, those SMBs, is going to give you just a small detail, and that is like what is the host that we are scanning, or what is their name, all these things, nothing extra. Okay, it will scan the entire network for that. So, and oh, it's not writing, and like this not writing. Just a second, guys. Something happened. What? Why? That is also one of the trouble that you will face when doing pen test. I hope it is fixed. No, not fixed. So you already have all the details in try.txt, the port numbers. I'm not going to do the entire scan. Let me just move try.txt to your cohort. Cool. We have open ports as well here. Nothing is there. Let me move all the content of try.txt to open ports. Okay. Now the next step for that same thing is you have to do all the, where was it? Yep, these steps, okay? And let me redirect it to open ports for easiness. Now we have all the port numbers, correct guys? Our next step is to give all these port number in our nmap scan. This time when you do nmap scan, make sure you put -s, like S first to know all the services, and then give -sv to know all the versions of those services. Make sure you put S first and then SV. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay, good. Some people also prefer -a for advanced or aggressive scan. You can do that as well. I also do most of the time, but right now I'm not doing because it takes a little time. And then I'll give the port number, that is the IP address 192.168.29.188. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. Let's start it. This will tell you the reason why I'm doing this particular nmap scan, and then why we are going to do the SMB scans and all these things. Since it is going to take a little time, I'll continue with the next tool that you need to know, and that is NMB lookup. What NMB lookup will do is it will check the entire domain for all the available targets into it, and then it will give you the details of the particular target that you are checking for. That is 192.168.29.188. Now you can see what was the name of that machine. That is Vagrant. You remember, like when you were setting it up, you were setting it up with the help of Vagrant, correct? And the ID and password is Vagrant itself. For the administrator, even the password is Vagrant. Now, before I begin any further, what is the use of this MAC address, anyone? How can I use this MAC address?
I guess when you're using it recap, so you can be like do the man in the middle attack.
Exactly. Very nice. When you're using etacap, or there's one more tool known as betacap, and we are using all these DNS spoofing or RP spoofing attacks or network poisoning, we use MAC address for that purpose. Does that make sense? Why it is
Yes, it
important?
does.
Good. Once you are done with the NMB lookup, next step is NBT scan. When you do NBT scan, for this one, we provide -A, but when we're doing NBT scan, we don't have to give any of the flags. Okay. In this, you'll have to just simply give IP address 192.168.29.188. Again, you can see the exact details. Now the server and user is unknown for right now because we haven't done any of the scan in depth. But now you have the net BIOS name of them, correct? That is Vagrant 2008 R2. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Now someone can ask, I don't know why you haven't read, but someone could have asked that why are we using two different tools for the same purpose?
Oh yes, why?
Now I'm asking this time, so you have to answer it. You miss I hate.
Yes, the NMB lookup, it
Uh-huh.
shows like something is active. The other one does not.
I could have done with the ping.
Yeah, sure. I don't know.
So why I'm using NBT scan or NMB lookup?
Oh, okay.
Think about it.
Maybe to get the
Does this one?
MAC
Mhm.
address or something.
Well, it's all
This also
similar
has a
to
MAC address.
all of them is like kind of similar thing, like gathering all information. But I don't know which one you prefer to like to gather information.
Okay, I'll
It's
tell you. So when you do NMB lookup, you scan the entire network that you are in, the entire domain, correct? So you may get more than one type of users, more than one type of work locations or the work groups or the shares, correct? But when you're doing the NBT scan, it is specific to the device and it gives you only the device information, the net BIOS information. Does that make sense now?
Yes, it does.
Okay, I'm glad that you understand. Next is, as I said, we'll be using the script of Nmap, correct? So let's use that. For scripting, you can either use hyphen small s capital C, or you can write hyphen script. I prefer to write hyphen script because it is easy to track it down. You can change it to hyphen small s capital C as well. It is completely up to you. Next, I'll be using the NBT stat one. So for that, NBT stat.nsc, I think. That's how you write. Let's try. If it fails, we'll find something else. And then let's give the target 192.168.29.188. So that is your NBT scan, sorry, NBT stat scan. Okay, I haven't initialized the script engine yet. Just give me a second. Let me see what was the command for that. Okay, wasn't looking. Just give me a second. I think it is fine. Did we miss something? NBT stat NSC. Let me check the if it's in with this. Viewership and then scripts. NBT start dot NSC. I don't know if they have removed it. Oh, okay. So they have removed it. Okay. As you can see, there is no nbt stat.nsc. They might have removed it already. Let's see if there is any similar to that. We can use it. Netbus, netbus, netbus. I don't think there's any similar one. No, we'll be using SMBs, but right now they have removed the NBT stat. Okay. So just in case you don't know about that, we can just simply use NBT stat without the other one. NBT stat is also the same thing that happens with the Kali machine, and that has also been removed. That's sad. Let me try that. If I could install it, apt install. I think it has been deprecated. So it has been deprecated, so it doesn't make any sense by now to use it. Let's skip to the next part. Let me write it down for you here in your txt file that I was preparing. These two have been deprecated. I hope everyone knows what is the meaning of deprecated.
What does it mean?
Okay. Deprecated means something that is no more in use. It has been removed. Okay. Cool. Thing we have already done. The last thing that we have is SMB OS discovery, correct? Let's see if it still exists or it has also been removed. Again, this is the script of Nmap, so we'll be using it within the Nmap itself. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Shazad, that's one of the big problem that comes up every time. They remove all the tools and technology sometime, but I think they do it for our own good so that we do not waste time on the same step every time. Uh, the fact is, most of the tool they do the same step, so that's why they have removed it. Luckily, I think SMB OS discovery has not been removed. Yes, it has not been removed. So because of that, you can see host script result for the OS discovery is like it is Windows operating system like server with 2008 R2, which is true, correct? We have seen that.
Yes.
Let me show you here as well right away. We are using this one. See, Windows Server 2008 R2 standard. Okay, that means we are scanning the correct machine. Let me go back to my Kali machine. It will also give you the net bias information, which we were searching it with the help of some tools. It gives you the work group. You remember with the NMB lookup, we found this work group, which is here itself. We have the operating systems. We have like entire thing that we had in the past, correct? There would only one detail that you would not find here, and that is the MAC address. Does that make sense? But due to the Nmap scan, you have MAC address above. Again, I'm mentioning it clearly. This script is not finding you the MAC address, correct? The MAC address has been found you by the Nmap scan. Any doubt till this point, anyone? Don't get mixed up with these things. No questions? No doubts? Great, you guys are super good. Or am I too good when I'm training?
You're great.
Stop, stop bullying, guys. Okay. I think till this much, everyone is clear. No doubt?
No, I believe so.
Cool. Then we will begin with the second part, the second phase of the lab for today. Do you want any break or should we begin? Nobody has no doubt? No question, no break?
I really don't care, but I know maybe someone needs it, so I'm not gonna speak.
Thanks. Okay. Yeah, it is
No,
another
no
big one.
break
It's not
at this
some
time.
command.
Just if you can
Yes,
complete.
just give me a second, guys. Just give me a second.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, the word kalas is the Arabic word. It is not a command. Thank you, Shaza, for that. Okay, I hope till this point everyone is clear, no doubt, and we can begin with the second step, that is share and null session. Now, a quick question. What do you understand by term share and what do you understand by null session? Anyone?
Sorry, what did you say?
What do you understand by term share and what do you understand by the term null session?
Share, it's something you share. And null session, it's an empty session. I believe so. It's null. It's not pointing to anything. This is but like a software way to describe it. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Okay, quite close. So share is a place where we share the folder in which we share different stuff and people can use it if correct.
Yes.
That's the share thing. That is the first aid box that we were talking about. And when we say null session, it means that someone who don't have authorization, nothing, he can also go there and use it. That is the null session. Okay. Sometimes no username and password can cause that particular problem. For example, I don't have username or password for some type of user. I like empty ID and password can do that step for me. For example, some stranger comes in and he got some cut on his hand. He can use your first aid box for the band-aid, correct? Correct or not?
Correct, correct.
Okay.
Great. So that is your null session. I hope no one has doubt till this particular point. The next tool that we will be using is SMB map. Okay. As the name sounds, it is for the Samba enumeration. This is your Nmap result from the previous scan. But this time you can see we have services with the ports and what versions are running for them. That was the important factor for running with all the port numbers. Okay, let me just quickly go down and do the next step. Let's do SMB map on the target. I'm glad that it has not been deprecated since it looks blue. For running the SMB map, we need a host name. So for host name, we give capital H. Okay. I know it is hard to remember all the tools with their flags. So for that, you can just do simple -H and it will give you the help box pop up here and you can just see what is the like argument that we need to give. Okay. What is the flag that we need to specify? So for now, let's use -H. If we knew, like just in case, if we knew, yeah, so that can help. So if we knew what is the username and password as it has been given, you can use small u and small p for that particular purpose. Let's quickly go with the next thing. That is the IP 192.168.29.188. Once you hit enter, it will start looking for any of the possible null session or any of the shares that are there. But right now there is no share, correct? That is why it is giving you no result. If there would have been any of the shares open, you would have got it here available. For example, guest is very common that is available. So you will see guest here for sure, or IPC. Most of the time you'll see the names are followed with dollar symbol. That shows that it is like a share. Okay. Any doubt?
No.
Cool. Just for your understanding, to make it easier, I could have used username. I know that empty one works here. So I could have done like this, and I could have done this scan again. But since there is no share, I have got nothing here. Cool. Let me do the khalas here and see what was next. So next thing is SMB client. So let's use this tool now. The SMB client. SMB client. For SMB client, again, you need to specify someone who is listening on it or the target or where we are trying to point out. So for that, we use -L. Okay. That is like location. Where do I want to make it check? Then there's one drawback of this one that you have to give it in the format of double forward slash, okay, or double backward slash, something like this or something like this. But when you do this one, it works only, it will take it only as single backslash because one backslash will work as a escape character. For that purpose, we need to give 4 backslash. Okay.
Okay.
This 4 is equivalent to
2.
2 backslashes. Exactly. And then you have to give the IP 168.39.188. That's it. And then you do the scan. Right now I don't have password. I'll hit enter. So you can see anonymous login was successful. Even I didn't give any password. Still it was successful. There was no share and type and comment right now, as you've already seen that there is no share available. Correct?
Correct.
Great. So I hope there is no doubt right now with anyone. Just in case, if there would have been any of the uh, share available, for example, guest, what I would have done, I would have simply used the same assembly client. This time without the like backward slashes, I would have done 2 forward slashes. I would remove -L. And the next step I would have done is like forward slash. Since it is a Windows system, that is why I'm doing it in this format. Okay. Make sure that. And then I would have given guest and I would have hit enter. Once I have hit enter and give the password, I would be connected to it. Okay. I would have a connection with it. And then if there is any file that I want to download, I would do get and then the name of the file. For example, get flag.txt. So I would have got that flag.txt from the Samba server. Does that make sense?
Yes.
The same thing that we do in SSH and FTPs, if you remember.
What is this flag file? I mean, why we get it?
Okay, so there is a case in cybersecurity. We have CTFs. In CTFs, you have to submit flags, and this machine, Metasploitable 3, it has been created as a CTF. You'll find flags everywhere in it, so you'll have to download those flags in order to prove that you have successfully breached their uh, machine. Okay.
Okay, got it.
Yes. So let me do the colors with this one. And let's use the next one, that is SMB enum shares. Okay. Let me go back here and do nmap. When this time I'm doing nmap, again, if you remember, my task was to give the simple script by using hyphen script. I'll paste it down. I know that is there, so I'll paste it right away. And then I have to give the port numbers. Okay. What are the port numbers for Samba servers, anyone? Nobody remembers, huh? That's sad. The ideal ports are like 445 and 139, but you can find it on other ports as well. If you check it here, I hope there would be other ports in this particular machine where you will find the Samba servers running. Okay. For now, let me just give these 2 ports and show you the output. Once I give all these things, I forget to give the most important thing. Do you know what is the most important thing in this command?
Is the SS thing?
No, the
IP.
IP.
The IP. Oh, yeah.
Come on. Okay. So after
Yes, tell
doing
me, I
the
got it.
uh,
Yeah.
thanks a lot. That was good.
Yeah, why
That was
is it?
good.
Come on, one of us got it.
So
Be
you are the
sure
only
you
one who got.
focus with you.
No, I'm focusing on everyone. I'm not biased. Trust me. I'm just in this game. I'm sorry for that. Okay. So right now, as you can see, since we were not able to get any of the result from others, but now you can see there is IPC available, there is C available, and there is admin available as well. Can you see this? But one thing you need to understand, that it was not able to get any details out of it, correct? Then it is not for sure that it is there, but there is a possibility that it might be available there. Now, do you understand why are we using different tools, different scripts for the same purpose? That if one might not be able to do it, maybe the other one could. Correct? Okay, let me do the colors for this one. And next is net view. Let's do the net view. Why I'm always forgetting H. Okay. So for net view, we have to simply write net space view as it has been specified. And then again, double backward slash one to escape and one to assign. Give the IP 192.168.29.188. And then we will be trying to find all the particular available details out of it, all the shares and everything. So I'll run it with all. Did I miss something? What did I miss? They have removed view now. Oh, they removed view. Okay, let's find it a share or others and let's try with that. In that case, you'll have to remove all because view has been removed. It has been deprecated by them. I don't know why. So let's try with share. And again, um, invalid, you'll have to do share from server, add share to server. Okay. Just give me a second. Where did I miss? No, not manage user, printer, list servers in group. No. Shares is the same thing that I was using. Files. Okay. I don't know, something might have went wrong from my end, but that is the way we used to use it. I'm sorry for my old school stuff. Let me just check where did I miss something. I might have changed something. Okay, even for the help, we have a different kind of way to use it. Let me do man and net. See, as you can see, it is the administrator tool for the Samba and CIFS for the remote servers. Okay, we have to specify IP address with the help of capital I. That is one thing that we missed. And let me check the users directly. Some example. Okay, can you go faster? Yeah, here it is. Some examples. So you have to like create something, then you have to use trust create. I don't know if you have heard about NetBIOS enough or not, but via NetBIOS we do a lot of other steps as well. For example, we do the access control of the network, sharing control of the network. So for that particular pass, like for that particular step, we use it. Where should we submit the slab? Maha, that you have to ask from either Abir or Asad. Okay, I'm here just to cover it. I'm just a mediator. Okay, now it is not showing me anything else. Let me quit it. So for net, let me try it with -I. I don't know if it is going to work. Net share -I 2168.29.180. Yeah. So there was no share, so it gave me no share again. That is how it works. Okay. For like cheat sheet, I'll drop you the cheat sheet. That would be a lot more helpful for you. Let me just grab it from the net. Where is it? Yep, there it is. I don't know how many of you would be able to understand a lot of here. It is from SE Linux. It would be a little hard. I've dropped in the chat. You'll find net here. You'll find a lot of other tools as well here. Okay. You'll have to scroll in this particular website. Cool. For now, I'll skip the net thing. It has been changed a little, so I'll have to check it and I'll cover it later on for you as well. Okay, cover again. Okay, next thing is Metasploit. How many of you already know about Metasploit?
We just did it yesterday.
Oh, you're super good. Did you do this one? SMB num shares?
Yeah, this acceleration scanner.
You did that.
Yeah.
Do you want me to cover it again?
If you want.
That is not important. What is important is, do you want?
Go ahead, man.
Yeah, do it.
Okay, let's do it then. Let's run the MSF console. How many of you start liking Metasploit already?
What?
How many have start liking Metasploit already?
Like?
Yeah, do you like Metasploit?
I've been working on it like in the college. It's all,
You have used it?
This is all.
That's good. That's good. Okay, let's search for assembly enum. And the type is auxiliary. We'll be using this either of these two. So if it depends, like which one are you more interested? Do you want to check for the users or for the shares? Okay.
We already did the shares.
Right now I'll go with the
Let's do the users.
okay, for that I'll need the like text file for that.
File.
Okay. Yeah. You remember the file that you use for password enumeration or the username
Yeah, but
enumeration?
you already know one. So you don't have to use all
Yeah,
of it.
that's the empty. The empty. Yeah, we can do that.
But we know the password, and it's fragrant, so let's use it. Why you want to use a file now?
I think you have to use the file.
That is a complete cheating. That is complete cheating.
Yeah, but it's
Come
gonna
on.
take time.
Okay,
We're
let's do
learning.
They need to work to gain an access by cracking passwords, using some
Okay,
ports.
okay, from where to get the file?
Which file?
The file.
Okay, okay, now you will enter the vagrant and vagrant in the file.
It's
Yeah.
like you have to find a dictionary password file in the internet, I believe so.
I think so, but I think Asad mentioned that yesterday. It's on a platform, but I didn't find it.
Yeah, he says
Okay.
so, but he says it's gonna take time, like a really long time to
Yeah, I
find
got
it.
lazy. Yeah, I got lazy. I didn't
In
want to
that,
do it.
you know, in
Because
that
of
file,
the-
there's like one I username and password.
I
Because
think
of
we
that,
can
I'm gonna
find this
be
file in
slacking.
the core, right?
Okay,
What?
just a shortcut, everyone. Whenever you're searching for any module and you want to use it, you can simply define this number. To use it, you can just type use and then give the number and it will take that particular module. You don't have to every time copy and paste this entire thing. Okay.
It's good to copy and paste sometimes. No, just kidding.
It's just shortcut for you if you want to use it like that.
Yeah.
I use it like this because it's a shortcut.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
easier.
Again, yes, exactly. So now we have to set up the R host. We have to set up domain. We don't know the domain, so we'll keep it as it is. And then we have to give SMB user and password. Since he has mentioned that we already know,
If you wanna
let's do that.
do it, maybe it's gonna take time. The session gonna end
Yeah, it is.
and not even finish. So even I said yesterday he did not do it. He says it's gonna take time. We don't have time, and he just used fragrant. So it's up to you, man.
True, it's true. So SMB pass is vagrant, vagrant, and SMB user is vagrant. And we can do the exploit and run both other cases. I personally love to write exploit. It sounds more fun and cool. Okay. You can use any other if you want. Once you do that, it will do the scanning of the entire SMB server, let it complete it for the available users. It has like done the execution of the code. Let's try to find out the details. I don't think it has found any of the details. Otherwise, you would have seen it here. Like yesterday, when Asad was doing with the shares, you would have seen the shares available here, correct?
Yeah. Well, we did, I believe so.
So
Yeah. I don't really remember.
yeah,
100%.
it would be marked with a green. It would be marked with the same, but it would be green in that case. So right now you don't have it. Otherwise, you would have got it here. Once you're done till this point, the next tool that you're going to, let me exit the Metasploit. If anyone has any doubt in using Metasploit, you can let me know. I personally love Metasploit sometimes when I'm working in the same network. But those who are planning for the red teaming thing and planning for offensive security certifications, keep yourself away from Metasploit because you are not allowed to use any of the automation tool in the certification exam of the offensive security. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Great. Next thing, RPC client. I don't know if you have heard about it or not. RPC client is a tool which was like basically developed for checking the remote connections with the Samba servers of the Windows machine, but now we use it for pen testing, more of it. Okay. So let's give some username. Username, I'll keep it Vagrant, as you know, Vagrant is available there, or you can keep it empty. It gives a null session. And then let me give the target by -n 192.168.29.188. Once I hit enter, it will try to connect with me, but right now I'm not able to connect to it as I don't have that permission. Let me give the password as well, and let's see if it works. If it doesn't let you connect, that means it doesn't have like access to connect with it. Okay, remove the colons. Is it so? Yeah. Now, no, it doesn't work. Now it's just colons are just symbol that you are specifying something. It doesn't take colon as an input. Okay, so don't worry about that. Okay, if that's the case, let's try that. Again, it is unreachable.
The machine might be off.
No, that's not the case. Come on, let's ping it.
Yeah, it's happened sometimes. The machine closed by itself from some time to time.
Yeah, after some time. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, when I did the lab, it closed on me 3 times, so I have to reopen it, reopen it, reopen.
See, it's off.
That's sad.
See, it's off. I told you.
That's why. That's why we didn't have any information in the Metasploit. Is it something with the like this particular machine of Metasploitable?
Yeah, it says for some reason it need to be restart again, and when you open it again, it says, "Oh, it need to be restart again." For some reason, I believe the keys, or like because it does not have the keys, and I believe the update it's out of dated and it's trying to do something and it's like asking to restart, but when you ignore it, it's gonna restart by itself anyway sometimes.
Okay, maybe it happens. I have a lot of recommendations in the chat. So I hope you already know about this tool, okay? The RPC client.
Yeah,
so maybe. Would you mind if I skip it?
Yeah, maybe.
I'll skip it if you know it.
You are not having shares or anything because it was closed for a long time.
Yeah, most of that.
It's enough to know how to use and what's it do.
Exactly. That is the main like focus of the lab. I hope if Asad has covered Metasploit yesterday, he would have covered the crack map X.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
So let me do that as well. Did he cover RPC client as well?
Yeah,
Yes, that's what you were telling me. So, plus. I'm glad you did all the work for me. Okay. Yeah. So I hope if this much is clear to you all, that was the basic one. Okay, that is the basic one. Now we have few more things which I'll give you for doing as your homework for today. A little research thing. Try to research about these three things for the Samba. I know some of you might already know it because it is something easy and you can do it whenever you want. Sorry, by mistake, I did it. Cancel.
You have to buy it.
We have cracks. Sorry,
Can you copy
no,
and
we have
paste
to
it in
buy
the
it.
chat?
All these things.
Yeah, no, just the search homework.
What we need for the
Okay.
homework.
Yeah.
Okay.
Homework?
I'll paste everything. You can filter it out. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Already have
no
a
worries.
document prepared with all of these scripts and commands with the option
Cool.
and map options. Yes, I prepared. I will share with you much of information.
That's good.
Yeah, I hope that will be useful for them.
Shaza, like don't write a report. I'll give you a shortcut. Guys. See, when you have to let me. Hey, who's recording? Can you stop the recording?
No, it's still recording.
Yeah,
Can you
just
stop?
recording.
No. Can someone stop recording for 2 minutes?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, man.